Thanks everybody for joining us. Welcome one and all to our Nikken University Book Club. We are reviewing The Answer, a fantastic book by John Assaraf and Doug Murray Smith. And we're looking at the idea, how can I access unlimited abundance? And it's been just a little while since we were all together, but we've been in a chapter 6. Hopefully, you have been reviewing it several times. Chapter 6 is not something you just read. It's something you read and then you do all of the homework assignments within it, and you really start to think about enacting chapter 6 once you've done the homework. So if you don't feel like you have completely absorb chapter 6, that's okay. It's a process chapter. It's one that you probably want to return to multiple times. We did review it previously, chapter 6, Your Dream Business. And we'll talk about it just a little bit tonight. But um, do continue to review. And if you haven't done all of the homework assignments within the chapter, work on going through those homework assignments. But I'm going to ask you in small groups tonight to kind of do a big picture version of chapter 6. And I'm going to ask you in small groups to kind of share and explain to the people in your group a concept. And really, what chapter 6 is all about is this concept, this idea of envisioning your dream business, of being very clear about what your dream business might be and having an idea, a vision that you are connected to of what that might be. Um, this reminded me in some ways of Stephen Covey's idea of creating things twice. That you don't just create things once, everything gets created twice. First, there are the plans, there are the ideas, there's the concept, there's the dream, there's the vision. That comes first, and you create that, everything in your head or on paper the first time. And that's what chapter 6 is about. It's about creating it the first time, and then you actually create the thing in reality. You actually create the physical or the actual idea a second time. And so chapter 6 is very much about creating it, creating something the first time. So in a small group, I'm going to ask you to explain. I'm going to ask each person to take about 2 minutes. And whether you've done it before many times or this is the first time that you're doing it, I'd like you to describe your dream business to the people that are in your group. So just describe to them what it looks like, what it does, what it accomplishes. And if you can get detailed, how does it feel when you show up at the place where it takes place? What are the components? What are the aspects of it? What is its mission? How does it give you a sense of meaning and purpose? Just describe a lot of those things that you may have been working through in chapter 6 to your group about what your dream business might look like, what it might feel like, what it might do, what it will encompass. And each person, if each person can take about 2 minutes, that should be hopefully enough time to at least kind of share some of those ideas, some of those concepts with your group. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the rooms. Remember, you're describing to your group your dream business. I'll let you know when 2 minutes have gone by, and you might want to work towards shifting towards a new person so everybody has a chance to get to share. Okay, please go ahead and join your room. So people have broken up into their respective rooms and they're talking about with their team members, their dream business. Chapter 6, if you've read it, goes quite into depth in terms of really understanding why the importance of describing your dream business, why it matters so much. And it's really about getting connected to the idea of the purpose and meaning of what the business might be about. And if you go through chapter 6, you're going to find a lot of exercises where you need to actually write down, to do some homework, to create some lists, to take some inventory, to set some goals. And it's really quite, um, it's a chapter that requires some effort and some work beyond just reading it. It will take some time to properly work through chapter 6, but that is the chapter that we're working on right now. Hi, Mary. Everybody is in
Yeah.
breakout rooms.
Okay. Pick a good one.
I'll assign you to a room if you want to go join them.
Sure. I'll join.
It's just
Sorry
wrapping
from
up. No
I just
worries.
finished supper.
Welcome back, Dee.
Well, you know what? The sign pops up, but and I hit it before I read that I had 28 more seconds left, so I left the group. So,
Yeah, it doesn't force you back until now. Now
and
everyone
these
is forced
these
to
are
come
my
back.
colleagues who are left too. So,
So I
yeah.
hope that was a fun exercise. Whether you spent a lot of time on chapter six or a little bit, I hope describing a awesome, wonderful, engaging, meaningful, purposeful future was enjoyable. So, Mary Bowser just joined us. Mary, what we were doing for our exercise was describing our dream business. So, Dr. Bowser is going to be concluding her university career in the not too distant future and may devote more of her time to her Nikken business. Of course, Mary is a platinum wellness consultant. So, Mary, since you didn't do the exercise, do you want to take like 60 seconds and talk about what are some of the changes you foresee? Because I know you've been a very devoted professor, and if you do the job right, right, you're really committed to your students and academia and the learning environment. But what kind of transitions or shifts do you see for yourself in your Nikken business going forward? Do you mind sharing?
I can see myself continuing as an educator. I think that was the one thing that drew me to back into Nikken more actively, helping people understand that they're in charge of their own lives. Um, that's where I see myself continuing and transitioning. Um, of course, I didn't expect that this past week my daughter would announce that she's expecting in March. So I think I'll have other duties too, um, unexpected ones, but still, that's all good. And many of you already are there, and I'll be a first time grandmom. So looking forward to all the new things. Education, from all ages.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Congratulations. So I am curious, out of everyone in the group, did anyone spend a significant time on chapter six doing the exercises and doing the homework? And could you share with us what that was like? Bela, do you want to share with the group?
It was really actually wonderful because doing exercises like this really bring clarity. Clarity of purpose, clarity of execution, clarity of mindset, clarity of what beliefs need to change so your limitations are kind of bye-bye. Because that's what it is. Our limitations are in our heads. There is no reason that we cannot achieve whatever we want to when we are clear about what it is we want to achieve and how we get there. So that really, I think that crystallized things for me. And also, I've been working on this kind of stuff for quite a while. So it was helpful that it got me one step further. And then to take the inventory of strengths and abilities, we're very quick to criticize ourselves, and we are not as easily convinced of our strengths. So I actually sat down and I started documenting. I wrote everything out. That's my nature. That what exactly that who am I? Because that's what it really boils down to. Your strengths and ability. Who am I? And I realized that some of the limitations or weaknesses that I perceived in myself, I've kind of worked them out, and I'm able to focus now on what can take me to the next step. And the business vision was really good. I really enjoyed defining what my purpose, what I perceive as my purpose on this earth to be, and how I want to help be of service.
Fantastic, Bela. Thank you for sharing. I really liked that list. I like creating lists of different things. That was one I liked. Another one was the list of achievements. An exercise we do in Humans Being More often is people will talk about a goal from their past that they've accomplished, something that was really meaningful, something that was maybe difficult or challenging, but really gave themselves a sense of pride in accomplishing that goal. And it's so cool to kind of wander around the room and hear people talk about these crazy, amazing things that they've done in their life. And when you actually sit down and create something like a list of achievements, it's a great way to reframe and to really think of your life from a different perspective as something that's actually pretty amazing and pretty cool and quite accomplished. Barbara Richmond.
Yeah, I went back through chapter 6 and I did all the homework. And when we were asked to make a list of our accomplishments, my first thought to myself, oh, I haven't accomplished that much. But then when I had to really think about it, and the book asked us to go back to our earliest accomplishment and think of what we had accomplished, throughout the years. And I realized I had accomplished a whole lot more than I had realized, and that each accomplishment had started out with an idea, a plan, put on paper, um, gathering a team of people and making it happen to achieve the goal. And it was a wake up for me because I've been in a bit of a slump, primarily because of my mobility challenges and the frustration over the botched surgery. And I had let that overshadow my successes. And the power hour has been phenomenal for me. It's I've really enjoyed it, and I've had some successes and some great conversations. So I'm back into the mindset where, okay, I can accomplish this, I can achieve this goal, because it had me revamp my plan going forward because of the accomplishments that I had achieved in my past that were in the back. They weren't uppermost in my mind until I started digging, and one accomplishment would trigger another. And I thought, wow, you're not half bad, kid. Keep going. So that was a wake up for me, a real wake up.
Barbara, thank you. Yeah, if you're going to be starting your dream business, you want to approach it from a place of empowerment, of feeling secure, confident, ready. And remembering all of those accomplishments from the past is a great way to put yourself, your mindset in the proper place. Lorraine, did you work through? You maybe mentioned, I saw you indicating that you'd done quite a bit of the chapter 6 homework.
Yeah, well, I did. And when you do look back what you accomplish, and it's amazing what you can find. I mean, I took risks. I followed what turned me on at the moment, never asking how I would do it. I would just go out and do it. And, I mean, I have a book full of my memories, haven't I, Jeff?
That's right. Have a
So, but
copy.
there was a lot of accomplishments, and it carries over to today because now we're learning all sorts of things that I don't think I'd ever dream of learning.
Lorraine, thank you. So this chapter, I think a very useful chapter, more than just reading. It takes a commitment to spend time on it and completing it. And I think it's something that bears revisiting as we go throughout this process of creating a life of complete abundance. And again, remember, chapter 6 is about helping us to create things twice. First the blueprint and then the actual home. Chapter 7, in many ways, is kind of a companion to chapter 6 in that it's about setting things up and getting things ready. It's about the first creation that Covey talks about. And chapter 7 is the neural reconditioning process. So it's preparing us to do all of those things that are necessary to use our mind and to have our mind ready to do what it needs to do to approach things from the proper perspective. Um, the chapter starts with a story about astronauts who wore these special convex goggles that actually flip their vision upside down. And within 30 days, the brain would actually rewire itself. The brain would literally change in order to perceive things normally. And this idea of neuroadaptation, it's something that's been proved again and again and again. The brain has an ability to do amazing things. I always love seeing Dr. Paul. If you know Dr. Paul Gabios, and I'll use the term he uses, he is blind. He cannot see. And I always like seeing Dr. Paul doing the braille. And my fingers do not have the same abilities that Dr. Paul's fingers have. His fingers can read by gliding over these tiny little small bumps. Now, could I adapt and pick up that ability? Absolutely, I could. But I haven't trained my brain to do that. It hasn't been necessary. But the brain is really good at a concept that John Assaraf shares, which is neural reconditioning. This idea of literally rewiring or changing the brain. And it's a process, neural reconditioning. It's actually this structured process of shifting, changing beliefs and habits to the non-conscious or the subconscious. So we've talked about the iceberg before and how our conscious mind, the thoughts that we have on a consistent, regular basis, actually are a small part of everything the brain is responsible for and in control of. And at a much deeper level, we have the preconscious and then the unconscious, or as John Assaraf likes to call it, the non-conscious mind. And neural reconditioning is a process of literally changing, shifting beliefs, habits, ideas in order to approach the world from a truer perspective, a more empowering perspective, a more um, beneficial perspective. The book explains it as though it's like training for a marathon because it's something that requires consistency. It's something you have to do on a regular, consistent basis. One of the most important parts of training for a marathon is the long run. So usually people do it on a Saturday or a Sunday, and it's where they run a half mile or a mile longer. So they get to 3 and then 5 and then 10. And then it's said, most trainers agree with this, that if you can do 20, if somebody can run 20 miles, that when it actually comes to race day, they can do the 26.2 because they just kind of tough it out. They just tough out those last 6 and make it happen. So as long as you can do 20, you can do the 26 on race day. But it takes, for most people, consistency of 6 months, training over 6 months to make the marathon happen. And this daily practice is important because it's from the consistent daily practice of neural reconditioning that we build new neural pathways where literally we rewire the brain and we have different thoughts that occur on a regular or on a consistent basis. And so this is a key core idea for chapter 7 is that neural reconditioning is a real thing. It's something we can take advantage of, and it's something we need to take advantage of if we're going to properly lay the foundation for what it is that we choose to do. I'd like you to think about this question. What's one habit or belief you once thought was permanent, but you later changed it? So at some point in your life, a thought about the world, about yourself, about how life operated, you were convinced that this was true, but then you completely changed your belief, your understanding, your opinion of that idea. And I'm going to ask you to share that with your group. So I'll put you back in groups. I'll let you know when 90 seconds is gone. So take about a minute and a half per person. Sherry, Dr. Bowser, Gloria, Anna, you're going to be in a group together. So there'll be 4 of you in a group. So either you can go more quickly or the fourth person can share to the whole group. But everybody else will have 3 people in their group. But what is a belief that you changed, that changed over time, that shifted an opinion, and it perhaps proved extremely beneficial to you, to your life, making this shift, making your change? So I'll go ahead and put you in your rooms. I'll let you know when 90 seconds has gone by, and make sure each person gets a chance to share. Okay, go ahead and join your rooms. So everyone's in their rooms discussing this key component that's one of the first parts of chapter 7, which is this idea that neuroplasticity, that neuroadaptation, allows the brain to literally, if needed, rewire itself and to change thoughts, ideas, opinions, beliefs, to something that's empowering, to something that is useful, helpful, something that is proactive. And the members of the group are sharing that idea that they have for themselves with their other group members. So they will be back in about 6 minutes. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for sharing with your group. So I imagine some people had some really profound shifts that were life-changing, life-altering. Some of you might have had um, shifts in beliefs or paradigms or opinions or ideas that were not as life-changing. Gloria, Mary, Sherry, Anna, did everybody in your group have a chance to share, or do you need a fourth time for a fourth person? Okay. So the rest of chapter 7 goes through six key steps or core steps that John Assaraf feels are incredibly important in order to utilize and implement in this process of creating what is the perfect, the abundant life for you that you're looking for. We'll go through the six steps next time that we get together, next time that we meet. But one of the steps in the six is creating some kind of a daily routine, some kind of a practice that you are doing on a regular basis. So if you finished reading chapter 7, consider creating this routine that might be filled with visualizations. There might be tools you're using. It might include meditation, the use of affirmations, listening to certain kinds of things. Think about coming up with that routine that you can share with the group next time that we meet. So, next Wednesday is actually going to be the kickoff. Next Wednesday is October 1st, and we have the Spanish and then the English kickoff right back to back. And so we won't have our book club next week. We'll actually be meeting next in 2 weeks. So on October 8th is the next time that we're going to be getting together. We won't read, well, you could read chapter 8 if you want, but we'll review the rest of chapter 7. And so if you don't want to move forward and just remain in chapter 7, you can do that. But do look at reviewing and implementing the chapter 7 steps, and especially step 5, which is coming up with your plan to implement the tools that are brought up that are mentioned in chapter 7. And we'll review those next time and then give you a chance to share that plan with everybody. And then we'll go through the 6 steps from chapter 7. If you are interested, there is a Humans Being More online that's happening this Saturday. So this is the first one we've had in a while. And the focus is actually going to be how the ideas, the concepts in empowered living, the 5 principles, um, how they fit into the philosophy of humans being more, and how you can effectively live and teach others about those 5 principles that are within the idea of empowered living and feeling good every day. So you can purchase a ticket in the shopping cart. It's 19 US, 19 Canadian. Purchasing a ticket in the shopping cart registers you, signs you up, and you'll get an email with the link to join on Saturday. The Humans Being More starts at 10 a.m. Pacific, so 1 p.m. Eastern. It's 3 hours long. We do have 2 short breaks during that 3 hours, but it's really a useful way to re-engage and connect that idea of humans being more, and especially with our 5 pillars of empowered living. So it's going to be an exciting Saturday. We are going to have lots of new people who are going to be joining us. Many of the people who were in Nashville for the first time are going to be part of our group. So it should be a great group this Saturday. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Our book club will continue in 2 weeks. Do not forget the Entrepreneurs Being More tomorrow night, all about Nikken AI. And Shelley Sullivan is going to be back with us. So she's going to be there to answer questions and give some great ideas and tips.
Jeff, can you record it?
Yes, it will be recorded and shared to make sure
Thank
everybody
you.
has access to it.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. We'll see everyone soon.